Actor Kiefer Sutherland followed in his famous parents' footsteps, but it was his missteps that often got him more attention.
When a celebrity screws up, the public takes it personally.
Throughout the 80s and 90s, he played movie characters the audience loved to hate, bringing him conflict, confusion, and near catastrophe. Kiefer struggled to come to grips with his newfound stardom.
Kiefer Sutherland, in some ways, became a victim of his own success. Even though he landed the role of a lifetime, Kiefer is not happy.
When both his fame and relationships seemed difficult to control, Kiefer found something he could control: alcohol.
Kiefer has admitted to having a drinking problem. The problem is he loses control when he drinks, and he drinks a lot.
Kiefer lands in jail on a DUI charge. He refuses visitors, even on his birthday.
Because there are no birthdays in hell. Why would you want your family to come visit you in disgusting, filthy, dirty jail?
This is a person with a substance abuse issue and a feeling of shame, the feeling of guilt, to have hit rock bottom.
To a celebrity, image is everything. And when that image is destroyed, can it be rebuilt? You be the judge. Celebrity damage control. Already having the fortune for being the son of a famous father, actor Kiefer Sutherland also finds the fame quickly and easily. He lands numerous film roles in the 80s and 90s, playing tough and often dislikable characters. Kiefer is quickly labeled as part of the Brat Pack group of popular actors. Although his acting career takes off, Kiefer is eager for a relationship and a solid family, things he didn't always have growing up. But when big screen roles dry up and relationships sour, Kiefer abandons Hollywood and enters the unique world of the rodeo. Kiefer continues to set his goals higher and higher, making them more unattainable. And soon, he turns to alcohol. Kiefer almost loses everything in 2007 when he's charged with a DUI and heads to jail. The arrest, along with a supportive television family he never expected, helped Kiefer down the path of damage control. Born on December 21st, 1966 in London, England, Kiefer William Frederick Dempsey George Rufus Sutherland is a second-generation actor who comes from a lineage as impressive as his name. He is the firstborn of twins. His sister Rachel is 7 minutes younger. His parents are successful screen and stage actors, Donald Sutherland and Shirley Douglas.
My father was an incredibly successful actor, even though I was probably too young to see a lot of his films. My mother was a very successful theater actor, so I grew up in that environment.
Kiefer was named after writer-director Warren Kiefer, who directed his father in the movie Castle of the Living Dead.
Kiefer is less than a year old when his parents move to LA after his father's film The Dirty Dozen is released. Donald Sutherland's career takes off, but it also takes its toll on the family, including an affair with Jane Fonda. He and Shirley divorce in 1970. 7 years later, Shirley takes Kiefer and Rachel to live in Toronto. Shirley is a successful television and stage actress in Canada, and much of the children's time is spent amongst the city's vibrant theater crowd. They attend rehearsals with their mother and hang out backstage during performances.
Kiefer loved the camaraderie he experienced backstage. He and his sister moved around a lot, so the theater community was kind of like a family and gave them that sense of family, which they may have been lacking.
Kiefer is also the grandson of Tommy Douglas, the first leader of the New Democratic Party in Canada, and the father of Canada's socialized medical system. Kiefer spends every summer with his grandfather. He describes his grandfather as one of the most special men in the world and one of the most impressive men in his lifetime.
Kiefer Sutherland gives credit to his grandfather for raising him and instilling a lot of the good values, and he has never forgotten that.
Kiefer rarely sees his father, and when he does, it's usually when Kiefer visits him on movie sets. During his career, he tries to distance himself from his father, desiring to make it on his own.
It's pretty hard to distance yourself from your father when you look exactly like him.
When Kiefer is 7, his mother begins to have concerns about all the disruption in her children's lives.
Because of all the moving around and instability in his life, Kiefer's mom put he and his twin sister in therapy at the tender age of 7 years old. We don't often see that happen other than cases where there has been some sort of a catastrophic situation, and perhaps this was more of a preventive instead of a reactive move on her part.
At the age of 10, Kiefer gets his first taste of acting when he is cast in a stage production of Throne of Straw. His interest is piqued, and then 3 years later when he sees his mother on stage in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, he is completely in awe.
Kiefer said that when he saw his mother on stage, he forgot that it was his mother. He said he remembered thinking, that's a pretty awesome power to have.
Growing up, Kiefer attends almost a dozen schools. He's labeled as a troublemaker. His mother gets reports saying he is showing leadership, but unfortunately, it's leading him in all the wrong directions. Kiefer excels in athletics at school. He participates in skiing, hockey, and in 1980, he is ranked as one of the top runners in Ontario.
Participating in sports is probably the only time Kiefer wasn't getting into trouble. His nickname in high school was Reefer.
Kiefer drops out of school 2 months before his 16th birthday and never receives his high school diploma. He runs away from his private boarding school and heads to Toronto. He has less than $50 in his pocket. For the first few days, he sleeps under bridges and on park benches while he gets up the courage to call his parents and tell them he wants to be an actor.
It was something that I had a great deal of respect for both my parents and how accomplished they were. I think they were very nervous, but there was a point when I really made the decision to really try for that, and at that point, yeah, they became incredibly supportive.
Kiefer gets a job as a waiter and short order cook to support himself while he goes on auditions.
Like many children of famous actors, Kiefer says that having famous parents will get you a shot, but it won't get you the job. However, lots of actors will tell you getting a shot is the hardest part.
He lands an audition in 1982 and wins the lead in the Canadian film The Bay Boy. In 1983, he follows this up with a small role in Max Dugan Returns, also starring his dad. 1984, The Bay Boy is the opening film for the film festival in Toronto, and he is nominated for a Genie Award for Best Actor. Kiefer wants to go bigger and decides to move to New York and start auditioning. He is only 17 when he lands a Gene advertisement. He is also offered a role in a soap opera. Kiefer is on fire. At the same time, an agent in LA wants to sign him, but only if he turns down the soap. Kiefer agrees, and using the money he earns from the Gene advertisement, buys a car and does a road trip to Hollywood. Upon arriving in LA, Kiefer spends the first 3 months living in his car. He sleeps on the beach and uses the public showers. He's enjoying the free lifestyle and quickly makes friends, but he soon earns a reputation as a rebel. He spends long nights at bars, hangs out at strip clubs, and there are reports of him getting into fights.
Kiefer's reputation as a rebel kind of spoke to the types of movies that were coming out. It was the 80s. We had movies like The Breakfast Club, The Outsiders, which were all about youth rebellion. So maybe it kind of helped him.
Kiefer enjoys the bad boy roles, as he feels it distances him from his father as an actor. He becomes known as a member of the Brat Pack, a group of young actors that includes Robert Downey Jr., Emilio Estevez, Charlie Sheen, and Sarah Jessica Parker, young actors who often appear in coming-of-age movies together. They also like to hang out off-screen. Kiefer even moves in with Robert Downey Jr. and Sarah Jessica Parker. They lived together for 3 years. And his success continues to climb, especially after landing a role in an episode of Steven Spielberg's Amazing Stories, playing a radio operator of a World War II bomber.
Kiefer saw this as his golden ticket. He was booking a ton of auditions because he had been in a Spielberg production.
In the mid-'80s, Kiefer lands one of the biggest roles of his career, Ace, in Stand By Me, directed by Rob Reiner. The film is a big hit, and Kiefer gets rave reviews.
This is one of his most applauded performances, but he actually hated his work in the film, and when he saw it, he thought his career was over. Since then, he hasn't really liked to watch his work.
Kiefer follows up this role with a series of small TV roles in 1986, before landing the role of the charming vampire leader David in Lost Boys, directed by Joel Schumacher. Lost Boys becomes an instant cult classic and makes him a tabloid sex symbol. The roles seem to be coming one after another, and Kiefer is starting to take it for granted. He is also eager for something outside of acting. In 1987, Kiefer marries Camelia Kath. Camelia is 12 years his senior and has a daughter, Michelle.
Kiefer's parents were concerned because he was so young and still at the start of his career. But for him, it may have given him the sense of family that he wanted.
A year later, Kiefer starts filming Young Guns in New Mexico. He and Camelia have a daughter together. Sarah Jude is born during the filming on February 18, 1988. She's named after his earlier roommate, Sarah Jessica Parker. Kiefer is just 19 years old. Although he now has the family he's always wanted, it seems that the rebel in Kiefer is still bubbling near the surface. In 1989, he is charged with a DUI and carrying a loaded and concealed weapon. Kiefer pleads no contest to the alcohol-related reckless driving, and the other charges are dropped. But he is also put on probation for 3 years. It is his first DUI charge, but unfortunately, it won't be his last. Kiefer Sutherland has accomplished a lot in 7 years. He's found a successful acting niche in Hollywood, gotten married, had a child, and he's also been charged with drunk driving. He's playing the bad boy both on screen and off. In the late 80s, Kiefer takes roles in more dark, psychological movies, including Chicago Joe and the Showgirl, Flashback, and Young Guns 2. In 1990, he appears in another Joel Schumacher film, Flatliners. His co-stars are Kevin Bacon, William Baldwin, Oliver Platt, and Julia Roberts. That same year, Kiefer and Camilla divorce.
Kiefer says his 2 biggest disappointments in life were losing custody of his daughter and the divorce because he was just too young to handle it. It's kind of interesting because then he got engaged a year later.
While shooting Flatliners, Kiefer becomes romantically involved with Julia Roberts, and they start a 2-year relationship. Kiefer and Julia become the new Hollywood it couple, and their relationship draws a lot of media attention. After only a year together, they announce their engagement. To help drum up publicity for the release of Julia's new film, Dying Young, the stars agree to marry on 20th Century Fox's Soundstage 14 in grand Hollywood style.
Julia Roberts' career was on the rise. She had just done Flatliners and Pretty Woman, and she was getting ready to work on Hook. Kiefer Sutherland had done 4 movies that were released that year, and the only one that created any buzz was Flatliners, which he did with Julia Roberts. So Hollywood put together this amazing wedding, which was just classic Hollywood PR stunt.
The wedding was a huge deal, costing over $500,000. The theme color was seafoam. Remember, we are barely out of the 80s here.
3 days before the wedding, Julia calls it off. Their publicists release a joint statement saying it has been mutually agreed upon that the wedding has been postponed.
This is a pretty vanilla statement. I mean, this is something that both teams got together, which is always a good idea because you'd hate to have conflicting stories. That's when rumors start going crazy. And what else could they do?
There were a ton of rumors swirling around about their breakup. There was buzz that she was romantically linked to Kiefer's pal, Jason Patric.
The day of the scheduled wedding, Kiefer is seen removing his belongings from Julia's house. And during what would have been their honeymoon, Julia is on vacation in Ireland with Jason Patric. After the breakup, Kiefer is spotted partying around town and seen in the company of go-go dancer Amanda Rice. He takes her to Disneyland with his daughter, Sarah. In an interview in 1991 with the London newspaper The Sun, Rice claims that she and Kiefer had had a sexual relationship and that he had called Julia self-centered and demanding. The National Enquirer in the U.S. picks up the story.
At the time of the breakup, reportedly Julia felt like she was made out to look like a villain. Years later, Kiefer actually told her, you know what, it was good that it didn't work out because they were too young and they had a brittle relationship.
But at the moment, Kiefer is crushed. He's afraid to go to the corner store to buy cigarettes because he doesn't want to see the tabloid headlines. He becomes known as the man Julia Roberts didn't marry, and it's affecting his career. Kiefer lands a role in the hit film A Few Good Men in 1992. But other than that, he is cast in a string of unsuccessful and poorly received films. The next year seems the same, when Kiefer stars in The Vanishing and The Three Musketeers. But that same year, just after finishing probation for his first DUI, Kiefer is charged with a second. He pleads guilty and is fined and given 211 hours of community service and put on probation again for 3 years. With the 80s being so successful for him, Kiefer is discouraged by his lagging career and personal life in the early 90s, and the boozing increases. In 1994, after starring in The Cowboy Way, Kiefer is inspired to change his career and his life. Rodeo roping pro John English was hired to teach rodeo skills on the set of The Cowboy Way. After the film wraps, Kiefer decides to leave acting and pursue the rodeo. He takes a job as English's ranch hand and then becomes his partner at rodeo competitions.
At first, Kiefer wasn't really accepted on the rodeo circuit. The other cowboys would kind of laugh behind his back, but eventually they saw that he was serious.
Kiefer had also bought a 900-acre ranch in Montana to take up roping. He then buys a cattle ranch in California's Santa Ynez Valley. He mostly abandons acting for 2 years.
There is a danger when you step away from Hollywood for a couple of years because that great script may not come around, and it has backfired on many people. But Kiefer Sutherland comes from Hollywood royalty. He is very, very well liked in the industry. He has had some really big winners in his past. It was probably a good move for him to just step away for a little while.
He competes in team roping with the U.S. Team Rodeo Championships, and in 1994, they win in Phoenix, and again in Albuquerque in 1996. Also in 1996, he marries former model Kelly Wynn and becomes stepfather to her 2 sons, Timothy and Julian. And it's not long before Kiefer hangs up his lasso when the desire to perform returns. He takes on some small roles in films and does some directing. Kiefer is realizing if he's not busy, he gets into trouble. He decides to star alongside his mother in The Glass Menagerie at the Toronto Royal Alexandra Theatre. The Tennessee Williams play is about a young man trying to leave home, who feels a responsibility to his mother, who's been divorced from his father since he was a child. Kiefer and his mother play the roles of mother and son on stage.
This story closely mirrored Kiefer's own life, and he has said the role was very personal for him.
By 1999, it looks as though Kiefer's second marriage is over, and he and Kelly Wynn separate.
Even after both of Kiefer's divorces, he continued to help raise his biological daughter as well as his 3 stepchildren. He'd have Christmas with his ex-wife Camilla and her boyfriend. It's clear family is very important to him.
In 2000, an opportunity arises that at first doesn't seem all that interesting to Kiefer. A friend of his is shooting a pilot for a new series, and he's wondering if Kiefer will star in it. The character is Jack Bauer, and the new television series is called 24.
Initially, Kiefer saw this as just guaranteeing him a few months of work. It was pretty low risk. He got paid to shoot the pilot. If it didn't get picked up, so what?
24 does get picked up as a series and becomes an instant hit, and Jack Bauer becomes the newest American hero. But to Kiefer, whose track record has been in films, a TV series is just a steady paycheck.
Kiefer has said 24 was his first real job and the first time he wasn't panicking every 3 months figuring out how to feed his kids.
Kiefer feels he can relate to Jack, a man who has had an affair, is trying desperately to save his marriage, and has trouble controlling his teenage daughter.
Kiefer said that he saw Bauer as a guy whose intentions were good, he just wasn't successful all the time. Maybe this is why people related to him. He was realistic.
Kiefer has never experienced the success of a popular television series before. His fan base becomes huge. The name Jack Bauer becomes almost as familiar to TV viewers as Archie Bunker. On the surface, the success all seems good. But is it? Within a year of the series, Kiefer's drinking and partying seems out of control. In 2001, Kiefer does a number of shots at a Beverly Hills hotel. He becomes so inebriated, he jumps fully clothed into the hotel pool. It appears as though his rowdy and drunken behavior increases equal to his success, and the media eats it up. Kiefer's new A-list status brings him film roles, and in 2002 he stars in another Joel Schumacher film, Phone Booth, along with Colin Farrell, and also wins a Golden Globe for lead actor in a drama series for 24. That same year, the media reports that he downs 8 shots of scotch at a bar, strips off his shirt, and gyrates topless, lap dancing on a man's knee. In 2004, he wins the Screen Actors Guild Award for Outstanding Performance by a Male in a Drama Series. On April 8th of the same year, a photograph surfaces in the National Enquirer. He is sitting in a bar booth with a friend, smiling and surrounded by half-empty glasses. His pants and his underwear are around his ankles.
Kiefer Sutherland keeps getting into more trouble. Every time his career does well, he screws it up and gets into trouble. It makes no sense. This guy has a great career. Everyone loves him. Everyone loves watching him on TV. He's in movies. People love watching the movies. And he just can't stay off the damn bottle.
And it continues. But it's eventually going to come back to haunt him. Next, he stars in Taking Lives alongside Angelina Jolie. And he's spotted drunk at a chic restaurant, where he rips off his shirt and jumps on a table and spins the shirt around his head like his rodeo days.
Binge drinking, in some ways, is a denial that you have a drinking problem. You see, I can go to work. You see, I can stop drinking for 5 days in a row. But when they hit it on the last 2 days, they're drinking much more in a concentrated session.
The shooting on 24 is grueling. Sometimes 14-hour days, 6 days a week, 10 months of the year. And Kiefer is often starring in films the other 2 months. 24 is in its 4th season, winning awards and growing even more successful. And it's obvious that the schedule, the fame, and all the media attention are taking their toll on Kiefer. And the worst is yet to come. Kiefer Sutherland's fame on the series 24 is soaring. But while it's boosting his career and recognition, it's wreaking havoc on his personal life.
Though a lot of people, especially actors, would give up their left arm, their right arm, both legs to be in the position of Kiefer Sutherland when he had landed the role of Jack Bauer in 24, Kiefer is not happy. Here's a guy who says, listen, we're shooting 10 months out of the year. I have no time for myself, no time for family, and it's contributing to my emotional problems, and it's contributing to my drinking. Though a lot of people are probably listening to him and saying, oh, Kiefer, please give us a break. For Kiefer, that was real pain.
In the fall of 2004, Kiefer is yet again stopped by the police while driving under the influence. He is charged and convicted of a DUI. This is his 3rd. He pleads no contest to driving with a .22 blood alcohol level. The judge is Michael T. Sauer, who is well known as being tough. He sentences Kiefer to 5 years probation, fines him $500, and orders him to do 55 hours of community service and participate in an alcohol treatment program. This latest DUI charge seems to have no effect on lessening Kiefer's boozing exploits. Kiefer previously established an LA music studio called Ironworks with partner music producer Jude Cole. The studio helps up-and-coming musicians make their first recordings. In 2005, Kiefer gets involved with a documentary about one of the bands.
The documentary was about the band Rocco DeLuca and The Burden, which was the first band Kiefer and his partner signed to Ironworks. Kiefer was acting as their tour manager, and his friend thought it might be kind of amusing to film it.
As the band tours Europe, Kiefer promotes the concerts and his new independent record label, Ironworks Music. All of Kiefer's interesting antics on the tour are filmed for the documentary entitled I Trust You to Kill Me. During the filming, Kiefer stays at the Strand Palace Hotel in West London. He is once again drunk and at 2 a.m. in response to a dare, throws himself on top of a Christmas tree in the lobby, knocking it down. The incident is taped and goes viral on YouTube. When he later watches the documentary, a remorseful Kiefer comments that the film is a mirror of his life, and it shows him he needs to make some serious changes.
Despite Kiefer's drinking, he still has an incredible work ethic. If he was going to be out all night, he would park his car at the production lot and have the security guard wake him at 6 a.m. so he wouldn't miss his call.
And he'll have to maintain that work ethic, because in 2006, Kiefer signs on for 3 more seasons of 24, for which he will be paid a total of $40 million. The deal makes him one of the highest paid actors on television.
Kiefer didn't seem comfortable with the money. He felt that the money and the admiration poured on celebrities was disproportionate, that it should actually be put towards police and doctors and firefighters.
By 2006, Kiefer admits to Rolling Stone magazine that the shooting schedule in Fame is taking its toll and is adding to his drinking problems. Kiefer hints that he wouldn't mind if the character of Jack Bauer was killed off, but knows that the cast and crew are relying on the show to support their families.
Kiefer Sutherland, in some ways, became a victim of his own success. Even though he landed the role of a lifetime, he just felt that that character took over him. And in some ways, it speaks to a lot of the instability that Kiefer had, never establishing his own identity. He just wanted people to know, I'm just Kiefer. I'm just a regular guy. I've got a lot of issues. I'm not a Superman.
24 is also experiencing criticism for what some are seeing as the promotion of torture. In February 2007, the West Point Military Academy visits the set of 24 to voice their concerns. But Kiefer feels it's just a political move. On the evening of September 24, 2007, Kiefer attends the Fox Fall Eco Casino Party in Hollywood.
When Kiefer was heading into the event, he stopped to sign autographs, and some fans and photographers noted that he seemed a little intoxicated and was stumbling.
At 1:35 the next morning, Kiefer is pulled over in West Hollywood after he makes an illegal U-turn. He fails a sobriety test and is taken into custody.
The legal blood alcohol limit is 0.08 and Kiefer blew a 0.16. That's double. Definitely worse than Jack Bauer would be expected to have while driving.
Kiefer is charged with 2 misdemeanor counts, 1 count of driving under the influence, and 1 count of driving with a blood alcohol level of 0.08 or above. At 4:09 a.m. that morning, he is booked, but less than 2 hours later is released on $25,000 bail. A trial date is set for a few weeks later. The day of the charges, Kiefer is slated to be honored by ACTRA, the Alliance of Canadian and Cinema, Television and Radio Artists, at Canada's Consul General in LA. But in the wake of the arrest, they decide to close the event to the media.
This must have been super awkward for him. He made this eloquent speech, but didn't mention that he was arrested and didn't talk to reporters about it. Because why would you?
The best ploy that a PR team can do is keep releasing things about the honor and the award and play down the DUI. But if you don't feed the press and answer that and just keep saying, oh, but he's doing this, this is where he is, and that's your press release, a lot of times they might get a little bit lazy and just go with the story that they have because they run out of time or they run out of energy or whatever. That would be the best case scenario.
What makes the charge and upcoming trial particularly bad for Kiefer is that he is actually still on probation from his 2004 DUI charge. And the presiding judge for his October trial is Michael T. Sauer, the same one from 2004, and Kiefer is a repeat offender. So it looks as though this time, Kiefer is going to jail. Kiefer Sutherland has just received his 4th DUI charge in 2007, and it's not looking as though he can wriggle out of this one. Many wonder if it could destroy his career. Kiefer hires Blair Burke as his lawyer, who also represented him in 2004. Burke is well known for defending celebrities such as Mel Gibson on similar charges. But Kiefer and his team aren't looking forward to facing Judge Michael T. Sauer on October 9, 2007, the same judge who handled Kiefer's 2004 DUI.
So Kiefer's kind of nervous because he's afraid that he's going to go before the mean judge that he saw back in 2004. He's not looking too happy about this, but his attorney got him in front of a more friendly judge because Judge Sauer, that mean judge, was on vacation.
Kiefer pleads no contest to the charges, and a plea deal is accepted. Kiefer is sentenced to 48 days in jail, 60 months probation, a $510 fine, and he must complete an 18-month alcohol education program and must undergo 6 months of alcohol therapy sessions. He is not allowed to drive until May 2008, including on the set of 24. Kiefer is the voice for some of the Ford Motor Company commercials. Many wait for the bomb to drop, but then Ford releases a statement saying, "Public safety is a top priority at Ford of Canada, and we are glad it appears that Kiefer Sutherland will seek treatment. We will continue to monitor the situation closely." MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, criticize Ford. They are outraged and call Ford continuing to use Kiefer's voice for their ads tasteless, stating that a man with 4 drunk driving convictions is not a suitable role model.
I don't know if Ford thought this was a bonus, but it sure did bring publicity to them and to him, and there are a lot of people out there that like Jack Bauer and want to be just like him.
Kiefer requests to serve his time at the jail run by the city of Glendale, a minimum security facility, rather than the Twin Towers County facility in LA, which had more problems with violence among inmates and would mean he'd have to be kept in solitary confinement for protection. As part of the deal, he is not eligible for early release or release on electronic monitoring. Kiefer agrees to a speedy disposition of the case in order to protect 24 from having to shut down production. After sentencing, Kiefer issues a statement expressing deep regret for the disappointment he has caused his friends, family, and co-workers.
When a celebrity screws up, the public takes it personally. We are invested in them and in their careers. We are the ones that went to the box office and paid for the tickets. We're the ones that wrote the fan letters. So when they do something wrong, we expect an apology. And no matter how many times from how many people we have heard this apology from, we always fall for it. Where we get angry is when they're cocky and act like we just don't matter. So doing this is always a good thing to do.
On December 5th, 2007, Kiefer enters Glendale City Jail. The facility has 48 cells with 2 beds each. He becomes inmate number 108-5109. Kiefer is issued a standard orange jumpsuit and is housed in an 8-by-10-foot cell, which has an open toilet, wash basin, and water fountain. During the day, he is free to roam about and has access to a larger room with a TV. Plus, he has work duties in the laundry.
Usually when a celeb goes to jail, he's kind of cordoned off and separated from the rest of the inmate population. In Kiefer's case, he was actually doing their laundry. He was washing their pillowcases and sheets.
Kiefer is a model prisoner. He does his work without complaining and keeps to himself.
I think it was probably Kiefer's idea to stay to himself and really be a good prisoner. And the reason I think that is because every lawyer would always advise their clients to keep their head down and do the right thing in prison, but a lot of people wouldn't be able to resist their own instincts to just, be crazy. And Kiefer Sutherland must have some serious willpower. It probably is his real personality to kind of follow the rules at some point. It looks like there's some limits to his stupidity. So yes, while drunk driving, at least he knows not to cause trouble in prison.
Kiefer does not want any friends or family to visit him in jail, even though he is there for Christmas and his birthday. The only person he allows to visit is his lawyer.
Because there are no birthdays in hell. Why would you want your family to come visit you in disgusting, filthy, dirty jail? He's a good son.
Another reason, of course, that he didn't want people to visit him was the feeling of shame, the feeling of guilt, to have fallen to such a low place in his life, to have hit rock bottom.
The guards really respected Kiefer. They said that, it didn't look like he loved being there, but he was getting along and doing his time.
After serving 48 days in prison for his 4th DUI charge, Kiefer Sutherland is released from Glendale City Jail on January 21st, 2008. The media is gathered out front, so he is allowed to exit out the back door into a waiting car. He returns to the set of 24 and a salary of $555,555 per episode. Kiefer is back.
The cast and studio were very supportive when Kiefer was released and continued to talk about his professionalism and his work ethic.
A number of months after his release, Kiefer appears on The Tonight Show. He talks openly about his jail time and admits to his mistakes.
So now Kiefer Sutherland is on what we call the apology tour. He has to do all the different shows to make sure he gets to all the different people, because somebody that watches the Today Show doesn't necessarily watch the Letterman Show and vice versa. So in order to reach everybody, you have to do all the shows and do the tour.
So even though Kiefer Sutherland goes on some of the late night talk shows and talks about that he's on the road to recovery, the fact of the matter is he's on a long road to recovery and has a lot more work to do on himself, especially with acting out, being aggressive, and that's why he ends up getting arrested yet again.
In May 2009, Kiefer is charged with misdemeanor assault for an alleged headbutting incident.
There are various versions of this story, but basically Kiefer was talking to Brooke Shields when fashion designer Jack McCullough came over and bumped her. Kiefer overreacts, he's maybe had a little bit to drink, and asks Jack to apologize. When Jack doesn't, Kiefer goes and headbutts him.
Everyone who's at the party says that this guy didn't do anything, and maybe Kiefer was really drunk. He was under the influence of substances at that point. So this clearly tells us this is a person with a substance abuse issue, very poor impulse control. So whether acting out physically by hurting someone else or acting out physically and embarrassing oneself, that the addiction is real, that he's not getting better as quickly as he should.
Brooke's people release a statement saying that the incident was no big deal, and Kiefer has always been a gentleman in her company. McCullough's reps tell a different story, claiming that the incident was a vicious, violent, unprovoked assault.
Brooke's team wanted to play this down. It didn't fit with her image. She didn't need any scandal around her. McCullough's team saw this as a way to get publicity for him. If spun the right way, this guy can make a fortune off of this scandal.
Kiefer is brought to the 1st Precinct in Manhattan for questioning on May 7th. A large group of reporters are gathered outside. He is charged with 3rd-degree assault.
It might not seem like a big deal, but Kiefer's on probation, so this is on top of everything else, a probation violation, which carries a pretty serious sentence. He could get sentenced to like lots of community service, and we've seen in the past that these judges aren't necessarily that creative. I mean, we might have Kiefer picking up garbage on the side of the highway for months. Also, he has that horrible, devious look to him, that evil Kiefer face, so I'd try to keep him away from the jury.
On May 21st, Kiefer appears on Jimmy Fallon, saying he regrets what happened, but until it's resolved, he can't talk about it. Shortly after, the charges are dropped.
Kiefer Sutherland's publicity team was obviously better than McCullough's publicity team, because Kiefer went on different shows, apologized, turned himself in, did his time, and McCullough just looked like a whiny, opportunistic, publicity-seeking jerk. So they realized they're not going to win, and they just dropped it.
Kiefer has paid his debt to society, but whether or not he has changed his partying ways still remains to be seen. It seems that luck is forever on Kiefer Sutherland's side, as he avoids a 3rd-degree assault charge in 2009 when the charges are dropped. Kiefer and Jack McCullough issue a joint statement in which Sutherland apologizes. The LA City Attorney does not pursue the parole violation.
So here's something you don't see every day. The victim of a crime and the criminal coming together to issue a joint statement. Obviously something's at work here, okay? There had to be some kind of settlement, some reason for this guy to decide that he'll come together with Kiefer Sutherland, who punched him out, to issue a joint statement so that Kiefer doesn't get in any more trouble.
Having completed his 6 months of alcohol therapy after being released from prison 2 years earlier, many hope the incident wasn't an alcohol-fueled reaction, but instead just a bit of his protective Jack Bauer character coming through.
It's really hard to hate such a nice guy. I mean, this is a good-looking guy with character and charisma and a good work ethic, and he's polite to people. So everything that happened in jail just goes to back up the fact that everybody likes him and they want him to succeed.
Kiefer didn't exactly stop partying, but he did change his driving habits. If he knew he was going to be out and drinking, he hired a chauffeur to drive him around. So that's an improvement.
In May 2010, the final episode of 24 airs. Kiefer is surprised to find that after complaining about the demanding schedule of the show, he is having trouble adjusting to his new freedom. He uses the time to connect with friends and family.
Jack Bauer is such a pivotal role for him that he needs to do something else and something big so he's not typecast forever. He needs to come out with something completely different in order to break out of this.
In 2011, he creates and stars in a 10-part web series called The Confession. In May of that same year, he makes his Broadway debut in the 1973 Pulitzer Prize-winning play, That Championship Season. In 2012, Kiefer is back on television, starring in a new series called Touch.
When Kiefer was doing the interview circuit for Touch, he said he'd stopped living excessively and that he was more responsible to his family and friends. Overall, he said he was living a happier life.
In 2013, Kiefer starts shooting the film Forsaken. It's the first time he and his father have shared a film as lead actors. The two play father and son in the film. The film is shot in Alberta, Canada, and co-stars Demi Moore.
Both Kiefer and his dad were excited but nervous to be working together. Donald has said that he's trying to match the success of his son's career.
July 2013, at the end of filming, Kiefer parties with Demi Moore at the Calgary bar Bear and Kilt Freehouse. Once again, he is caught taking off his shirt and dancing.
Is that really so bad? Is Kiefer Sutherland taking his shirt off really such a crime?
Kiefer has admitted to having a drinking problem. This pretty much solidifies it. But this is a guy that everybody likes. He's a hard worker, he's a good actor, and they want to see him do well. The problem is he loses control when he drinks, and he drinks a lot. So we now know we're not gonna keep this guy out of the bar, so the publicity team has to learn to deal with that and work around it.
It seems likely that Kiefer's career will survive, and he will continue to land on his feet. In the biography, Kiefer Sutherland Living Dangerously, author Christopher Hurd wrote, "He has proved that redemption is possible, and in this way, he can be an inspiration to others." As for Kiefer himself, he remains characteristically humble and apologetic. He'll continue to work at not allowing alcohol to take over his life. But in the meantime, he has a great PR team to help with damage control. And of course, family and friends. In a recent interview, he said, "I've been trying to make amends for many years now, and especially since 24 ended, I've tried to reconnect with family and live a more normal life again."
Compared to the other bad boys of Hollywood, Kiefer really isn't that bad. And the fact that he has so much humility and willingness to say when he's done something wrong shows a lot about him. And who doesn't love Jack Bauer?